Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with Daily Technical Update. It is Friday and it's the 13th of March. This video is for educational purpose only. There's no advice or recommendation whatsoever intended. So yes, it's Friday the 13th, so let's see if there will be a spooky market today. Let's have an overview. Here are the most traded sectors, not all of them. Most traded sectors are illustrated by ETFs. As you can see, most of them are in red. They are declining. We have consumer staples down here that is setting back also. So that is food, drinks, and beverage, and things like that, necessities you need. But the discretionary, which is non-essential, like entertainment, leisure, things like that, that you don't necessarily need, they have been sold off pretty much. As you can see, let's expand it a little bit. It looks quite heavy there. Could drop further. Also, this is the retail sector. It's retail shops. That is part of that. That is even Walmart, but it's also clothing and things like that. They are also quite heavy at the moment. The only sectors that are actually pushing higher is still a little bit the oil business sector, especially exploration. Looks a little bit stretched in the toppish area. However, if we are looking at the oil service, the minor companies, they did bounce for the past few days, but yesterday they got hit by selling again. So maybe there's some profit taking going on there in the oil service business. Another one that is being sold off here lately is the healthcare business, primarily pharma companies and a few others. Like in the healthcare business. But here we have the Agri business. So companies related to agricultural are actually doing quite well. It has bounced back after a little bit of a sell-off and could crawl higher here in the coming days. So maybe that's where money is moving into. Another one that is also looking pretty good or fairly good is the utility sector. That is still in a bullish trend, although it has pausing a little bit. Another one that has been hard hit is the home builder sector. So home builder companies, they're not too happy at the moment. Massive sell-off here the past months or so, and it could be finding some support. The industrial sector also heavy, and let's have a look just to end this sector round here. We have the semiconductor sector. Well, it's still in this range here between 317 and 345. So they are still doing fairly okay. Excuse me. But with that negative undertone, given the fact that we are in a negative sentiment there. If we're looking at the overall market, we had the Nasdaq 100 selling off yesterday, very close to 24,500 support there once again, never closed below, despite the fact it has tried 4 times. But on these attempts, every time it moved back above. Here pre-market, we can see it will probably have another go. Currently trading just below that level, testing the 200 moving average here on the Nasdaq future. Moving on to S&P 500, also heavy, actually closed lower yesterday, further confirming bearish trends. RSI below 40 threshold, adding to the bearish picture, and we could see it setting back to 6,600 short term. The future also dipping lower here at the minor support there at 66.55, and I think we will see it dipping lower here in the coming in the coming day, also possibly continuing into next week. Dow Jones also quite heavy. Here's the future also trading around the 200 moving average. I think we will see it down in region around 46,000. Could see maybe today or early next week. Let's see about that. But it is fairly heavy. So be careful, don't catch a falling knife. We have the Russell 2000 small cap index, negative sentiment, bearish trend. There's some support here, 245, but could also sell off further. In Asian session, we had the Hang Seng also sliding back lower, not lower than this, but we could see it in the coming week. Going into next week, we have a negative sentiment on the RSI, and we can actually, and this is what you can do, you can actually draw a trend line on the actual RSI. You can see it broken its little rising trend line. That's more clear than drawing it here on the price graph itself. So I think we will see Hang Seng also pushing lower. The Nikkei also could slide lower. Here's the future on the Nikkei pushing lower. It dipped here last week to the key support there at 51,170, and that could come under pressure once again maybe next week. In Europe and EUROSTOXX 50, a little lower less yesterday, and if we're looking here pre-market, it's about to open fairly shortly. It is dipping, continue to slide back after this bounce here. The support there at 5,666 is not the strongest one, but nevertheless it is a little bit of a key. The big key one is down here around 5,510, 5,485 area. There's some strong resistance. So we actually bounced back half of this sell-off there, and now we are sliding back. And I think I will remove this one because that seems a little bit obsolete now. DAX index also lower yesterday, and here pre-market it seems to be continuing lower. And so there's some uncertainties in the market for sure, and we could test these supports down here just around 23,000 again, and these lows here 22,700. On the FX market, Euro dollar is sliding lower, being sold off here, so strengthening of the dollar. 140 is likely to be tested, could happen today. Quite a big sell-off here as we speak, and I think we'll see it pushing lower towards 140, where we have some support going back here from summer last year. If it takes out that, which is not unlikely, we could see a lower level. So let's have a look at what's going on a weekly chart. We can see it's broken this rising trend line there. Let's remove this one, and let's remove this one. Rising trend line there, and it seems to be headed for the 114 level. The sterling dollar also lower, and it's taking out the support there at 133, and I think we'll also take out the lows here. It comes after it bounced to test the upper falling trend line and the 61.8 retracement, so I'll remove that. I think we'll see it sliding lower towards 132, 131.65 support down here in the coming, today and going into next week. Euro sterling not really doing much, still support there at 86, that should be observed. The yen pairs, or at least the dollar yen, slowly crawling higher here, almost reached the 138.2 projections here, just below 160, and we can see trading just around this peak there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a correction, but bullish trend, positive sentiment on the RSI, and no divergence indicating likely higher levels. And if you want to know more about divergence on the RSI, check out the video that I published here a couple of days ago, where I talk about how to use relative strength index RSI. Euro yen still caught in this range here, but it also seems to be feel some weakness now. We have negative sentiment, never closed above 60 threshold. Also, we are in negative sentiment, so the support here just around 182 could come under pressure, and if it's taken out, well, then we could be looking at levels below 181, maybe even down to 180, where we have stronger support. This is not the strongest support, but we are below the cloud, we are below 55 moving average. The only thing that is holding up a little bit is the 100 moving average coming up there. The Aussie yen, as we talked about yesterday, possibly a correction, and it is currently ongoing. We're still in a bullish trend. It is stretched given the fact that, see the RSI values, the strength indicator has been declining for quite some time. So I think we'll see it setting back to at least the 61.8 retracement there at 111.60-65. I can tell you that if we are looking at the 1 hour chart, I have it the 1 hour chart, the 60 minutes chart, we actually have the 200 moving average there, just where the 61.8 retracement is, just around here, 111.60-65 here. We can see it here if we're also looking at exactly the same. So I think we will see that being tested, then we can bounce a little bit, but there is a risk further down if it takes out that level there. Then we are looking at 111 flat and possibly the rising trend line. Sterling yen still in the bullish trend, but also setting back here, and could set back further to test the rising trend line once again. However, we do have slightly positive sentiment, but it is quite fragile given the fact that it was only one blip above. But we did close above the cloud actually twice here, well, one time here, 3 times. So we're still in a bullish trend, but for now it is a little bit under pressure. What you can also do if you're a really short-term trader, again, you can measure from this little uptrend there, say, all right, where do we have some support? Well, we could test the 50% or the 61.8 per retracement there at 210.5. On the Aussie dollar, it seems to be trading in this rising channel there, but look at this, we have a declining RSI, so could become under a bit of a pressure here. Could test the lower rising trend line. I've been playing with Fibonacci levels. There's not really much we can add. One here on the last leg up. Oops, that didn't got stuck there. Let's try again. There we are. So here we are. And the 70 level, the 786 retracement, is likely to be tested here fairly shortly, and it could dip lower. If it takes out these lows here at around 69.40, well, then we have a different situation. Then we have established a bearish trend. Dollar Canada in a bouncing mode, 61.8 retracement, talked about it yesterday. I think we could bounce further up to the 786 retracement and the 55 moving average there at just around 137, a little bit higher maybe. Will that turn around totally? No, it needs to get back above 137, 50, 55, but then we have the 100 and the 200 moving average coming down here, and early next week the 100 will cross over. Oh, sorry, below the 200. They're both slightly declining, so that will put a pressure on it. But let's see. It is a little bit uncertain, but I think we could see it up to around 137 and maybe a setback. Sterling Canada continue to sell off. We talked about yesterday there was likely scenario to play out, and if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can see where it's headed. 117.75. There's some support, not the strongest one, but it's nevertheless it's there. So we could see the lows here being taken out. On the EURUSD, I'll keep the weekly on here. It's been pausing for about a week now, still in a bearish trend, negative sentiment, no divergence, indicating likely lower levels. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw next week that it's actually pushing lower, below 89.80, which is the low there. Could push lower here. It is a bit stretched to say the least, but there's no divergence indicating likely lower levels. The dollar Swiss is currently breaking above minor resistance there at 78.78. That little peak, it's pushing above it, and I think we could see a push up to around 79.45. This is the 786 retracement of this sell-off there. You can also do other Fibonacci's to it. We can add the one that gives energy from this correction here. So that will leave 138.2 projection at 79.25, at the 161.8 at 79.58.60, where we have the 200 moving average coming down. We also have the 100 coming down, kind of putting a little bit lid on it there, but as we can see, RSI is positive, indicating likely higher levels, and we do have established this higher high, higher low, and now a higher high, if it can stay above current levels and push higher. Expect there may be a little bit of setback there around 79, and then I think we'll see it pushing higher. The dollar index looking at the 100 spot 35 resistance there, and on the weekly we can see these peaks here has been declining. Now we are breaking it, and this is the 100 spot 39. It is about to, or very close to be testing. I think it was testing it, and it could also take it out and break it, given the fact that we have RSI, positive sentiment, and no divergence. RSI and weekly currently testing a 60 threshold. So going into next week, we could see higher dollar index levels. But as we can also see, all the moving averages here on the weekly, they're trying to squeeze it lower. So there will be some forces that will try to drag it back. I think we will see a little bit of a correction from here, and then maybe a setback, and then next move higher. On the metals front, the gold spot setting back yesterday, and I think we could see a test of 5,000 at the 49.95 here. And why is that also? Well, here again we have the 60-minute chart or the 1 hour chart, call it whatever you want. We see it dipped lower here overnight or yesterday evening, and sell-off has continued here in Asian session. After a little bit of correction, you will see all moving averages declining heavily, negative sentiment on the RSI. I think we could see a test of these spike downs there on the gold spot. So there was no strong bounce, and the uptrend here is seems to be broken, given the fact they're also broken below and staying below the lower rising trend line. Let's see what happens here at 49.95. That will be key. Will it push also below the 55 moving average? Still positive sentiment. So let's see if it can stay above. But I think it looks fairly heavy at the moment. Same picture on silver. Really, after hitting 61.8 retracement there, just around 89, just below 90. Did it touch? Yeah, it did touch exactly $90 an ounce, and sliding lower here, and we are below the cloud, we are below 55 moving average, so it is about to establish a bearish trend. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, but it looks quite heavy also if we are looking at the intraday charts. The platinum, same picture actually, and I think we will see platinum sliding lower towards the 100 moving average and possibly down to the region around 1900. Copper also fairly heavy, about to test this rising trend line once again. If it closes below that and below the cloud there, just around 575, well, then we could see the key support here at 563 area being tested, 562. And then we have the little bit stronger support here at 553, where we have the 100 moving average coming up. So metals look quite heavy at the moment. What doesn't look heavy is oil. So here's a lot of Fibonacci. Let me explain them for you guys. So first of all, we have this one here, and we sat back to the 786 retracement, almost there at 75.56, just there, almost there. Then bounced. So now we are using this one where we measure from the peak and to this trough there, and then it's bounced, and it has reached 50% of this sell-off there. And I actually do think we will crawl higher here towards the end of the weekend, and possibly also into next week. And what is the reason for that? Well, again, I will point to the 1 hour chart or the 60-minute chart, where we can see it is slowly, you can see it's been crawling higher highs and higher lows in a bullish trend here, and it seems to be crawling higher here in the coming hours throughout the day towards the weekend. Funny enough, the 100 moving average is dipping a little bit there. It seems a little bit odd, but still we are in a bullish trend also on, and this is what always is building up intraday first, of course, and I think we'll see it sliding higher. But be careful. It is very political, and it's driven by the situation in the Middle East. So suddenly, if another event, they say, all right, we are finished and everything, and we are going home, and then we could see a collapse in oil prices. But for now, it seems like we are pushing higher. I added the same Fibonacci to here. You can see almost down to very few cents from the 786. Then it's bounced, and then we measure from the peak to the trough here. the support here just around 81.40, bouncing, currently trading just above the 50% retracement of this, and I think we'll be looking 105 area fairly soon, and it could actually push higher. So we are still in a quite elevated place with the crude oil. The European NatGas has also bounced, and that's why I removed this Fibonacci there. The key support here is just around 45.40. If it takes out that, well, then we could see it sliding back below 40 euros. But for now, it's in a bit elevated state. So, but we have to also say that, well, the winter is possibly over here in Europe. So the demand is not as high as if it was about a month ago. But still, I think we could crawl higher here on the European NatGas. The US NatGas, on the other hand, yeah, it's crawling slowly higher, but it is still at very low levels, not like when we had these spikes up here above $7, $7.50 here back in January. So still crawling higher, could crawl out to around 3.5, maybe 3.70. On the yield side, Europe, the US 10-year Treasury yield is pushing towards 4.30, and I think we could reach that, and that is no surprise given the fact that higher oil prices, energy price in general, there's a risk that it will be seen in inflation numbers. The Euro 10-year pushing higher towards the 138.2 retracement at 3%, very close to 3%, and could touch it, and then I think we'll see a little bit of a setback. The UK 10 also pushing higher, so let me remove this one because it's challenging all the time. We could see this peak there at 486 being tested, but also a little bit stressed, as we can see here on the RSI, a little bit stressed. So maybe a little bit of setback if it reaches that level there. The Japanese 10 is pushing higher here in early morning, and is above the 61.8 retracement there, just around 225, and I think we could see it pushing up to 231 going into next week. On the crypto front, well, slowly crawling, trying to get back to this 74,500 resistance area there, and it's still key support there at 60,000. That should be observed. Ethereum really not doing much either. It seems like there's not much interest in the crypto world at the moment. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend, and keep charting out there, and keep an eye on those energy prices.